new. Okay, very important here. 1080 by 1080, not inches, not centimeters, not even picas, whatever those are. Pixels, 1080 by 1080, 72 resolution. White background's fine. Hit create. Boom. There we go. Okay. So I'm just going to go through this really quick. Paper. I could have just used something already built, but let's just do this. Repetition. I make a new ledge that's red. That doesn't need to be red. So I'm going to change it to gray with whatever. I'm going to make it solid. Okay. Weird ledge. Okay. So important, click off that. I almost did the old make it one single thing, but when you lock it, I don't think it'll let you. But anyways, click off it, hold down shift, make the ball. 1 ball, 2 ball, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm not going to squish and squash because we already went through that. Bouncing up here, bouncing over there. Nobody knows why. All I'm doing is holding down okay, now this clearly is going to be the best animation of all time. Now we could do our old create frame animation as before. And remember, when I do this, nothing happens. You guys all found that out. We're just selecting which path to go down. So we're going to now create a video timeline. So I'm going to click it, okay? And immediately there's a really nice timeline here. Let's take a look at it. So timeline, we're going to use that word a lot, okay? We are entering the 4th dimension, okay? We have left, right, up, down, axes. The 4th dimension is time. Beginning of time, end of time. So start, birth, death, okay? I'm right here somewhere, hopefully. Okay, starting, ending. Nothing's happening as I scrub through the timeline. This is a playhead. That's what this is called here. Up here, there's frames, okay? Very, very cool timeline here. Much more in depth than before. If we look down here at the bottom where my mouse is, it says 30 FPS. That means 30 frames per second. Now most films in the theater still are 24 frames per second. Most sports and broadcast TV is 29.97 frames per second, or roughly 30 frames per second. We're working in the digital sphere, meaning we don't have to worry about broadcast channels or anything, so we can choose whatever frame rate we want. Now, generally animation, traditional Disney animation, fully fluid was 24 frames per second. Most broadcast animation fluctuates between 12, 8, and 6 frames per second, sometimes even less, depending on the style. A lot of manga and stuff, they've gotten a lot out of a little with like background motion, very stylized. But basically meaning for this project, we do not want to be doing 30 frames per second. That's way too much work. We can get nice fluid motion through 12. 24 frames per second was designated as the least costly way to film something because film is very expensive and get nice movement out of, okay? So we're gonna cut that in half and go to 12. How do we do it? We could go to our settings here. And suddenly with our settings, we have a lot more things to look at. Okay, I see some tantalizing things. First, we're going to go to set timeline frame rate. Okay, very important. All this stuff is part of the process that we have to go through to set everything up so it works out correctly. There's nothing wrong than getting halfway done or all the way done and your screen is the wrong resolution, the wrong pixel aspect ratio, or the wrong frame rate. So how do we change it? Well, it's right there. We hit 12. Okay. Boom. Down here, 12 FPS, 12 frames per second. Okay. So there's some other options here. I see this is all different here. We are going to, the first thing we have to do is convert our frames, make frames from clips. So right now when I play, nothing happens, okay? Because look, they're just stacked layers. That's not very satisfying. But note that I can move these layers, And now, let's see if that ball is gone. It is. See right here? So when it's on the playhead, it's on. When it's off, it's gone. Okay? So we could, in theory, squeeze all these down so they equal 1 frame. Okay? But we don't want to. So I'm going to go back here. We just made it. Let's reset to there. And we go to, where was that? I was just on it. Convert frames. Okay? Make frames from clips. And boom, what do we have here? An animation. Pretty nifty. So this gives a lot more control. This should be pretty familiar to you if you've used Premiere or Final Cut. Things are stacked in a timeline. It's very nice it does it. Here we have the obscure little mountain and this obscure big mountain. If we zoom in, if we drag our thing, the mountain gets bigger and we can zoom in. I hate to see people working like this. We want to fill this and make it so we know what we're actually looking at. Okay. Now with this one, we can, by default, look at our paper. Okay. Remember before we had to go through that process and make it, there visible all the time? Now it makes a lot more sense to me anyway. We can just drag it all the way through our timeline. Okay. And it's going to be there. Okay. Pretty cool. Same thing with our ledge, and we're just going to have to drag it back to the beginning. Makes common sense. If we pull this out, we can see our entire duration. If I just left click actually on the edge, I can click and drag it all the way. Okay. Now when I hit spacebar, it'll play. Pretty cool. Okay, and that's 12 frames per second. So the other really cool thing is, remember when we're doing our opacity and we're kind of approximating an onion skin. Okay, this still isn't the best onion skin setting in a real, I would quote real, you can do some great stuff in Photoshop, but a traditional digital animation program, you have a different color for your previous onion skins and your out. So for example, it would be blue in and red out. So you can tell which frames are in the beginning and which are in the end. This will make more sense as I turn on onion skins. It's pretty cool. So automatically, I have some onion skins. And not only that, but I can go to onion skin settings and say how many frames I want before, let's say 3, or how about 5 or 6, and see how they vary automatically in opacity, which is really nice. And you can change the opacity settings here. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so onion skins. The weird thing is that it plays with them on, which is kind of nice, I guess. I don't think it'll export. In fact, I know it won't export with that. So I see a little hitch here, and I'm not sure why that's happening. Let's see if the opacity. Well, this is outrageous. Oh well. Okay. Oh, it's the onion skin on the ledge. Okay, disregard that. So that's all fine and dandy, you might say, and it is. What else can we do? Just right off the bat, we see a thing with sound. We're not going to do sound, but I just want you to know you can do it if you choose to use this animation style later. The other thing we can do is, if you're a drawer or an illustrator, we can actually illustrate. So I'm going to go up to make a new layer, okay? And we have video layers here. That's what these are, okay? And you can go to new blank video layer, okay? Very powerful. So we click on that, and it drops it. Notice where it put it, okay? I had this ledge selected, and my playhead was here, so it dropped it way down here, okay? So just know that it'll put it wherever you are. So if this program's new to you and I didn't know, I'd be like, where the heck is it? I can't find it. But just know, so if I have this layer selected, it's going to put it where it thinks you want to be, okay, when you click on it, okay? But with this new thing, I can drag it wherever I want, and I want this to be basically like a special effects layer that I'm going to draw on. So I'm just going to name it, let's call it FX, okay? and I'm going to drag it in our convenient thing all the way to the top. And boom, there it is. So now it's going to be on top. Make sense? Yeah. Okay, so what does this do? Well, this kind of unlocks a lot of stuff. Who's seen those crazy videos where people are dancing and there's like animation around them? It's big on Instagram. Yeah, this is how they do that. Okay, it's actually a lot easier than you think. So if you have your Wacom, you can do all your brush styles. I don't know. I hate drawing with the old mouse, but some people are really good at it. So let's say we're just doing some speed lines. Okay, so I go to the beginning. This is gonna be it's gonna be absolutely awful. Okay, now here's the other thing. We have engaged here. Animation is a very laborious process where you have to do a lot of things over and over again with the style. So you want to cut down on that process whatever possible. That means we have these full keyboards here. Okay, they have page up and page down on the right and left, right above your arrow keys. We're going to use that a lot. So, but first of all, on here, I think by default, it has enabled timeline shortcut keys set. Okay, make sure that's set when you're watching this tutorial later. Okay, so it's set here, it's on. If I hit page up or page down, we move down the timeline, and vice versa if I go forward. Okay, so let's see if I can do no animation. This is going to be really, really bad, but I just want to do, just so you get the idea. So let's see if that plays, and it does. Okay. So the onion skins are kind of throwing me off here. I normally do about 1, so I can actually see what's going on. So hit 1, hit OK. And I think there's a bug in this because this was doing this last quarter too with their onion skins. This is kind of a boner. Let's turn them off and then turn them back on. Nope. Why is it not saving? Okay. There we go. Okay, so for whatever reason, I think you have to hit tab. Let's say. So I hit 1 and I hit enter and it just closes it. And I hit tab and it actually makes it official. Okay, so no bug, user error. Okay, so I'm going to move this a little bit. Okay, regardless, it's terrible. So, but you see how it works, right? This is, let's try it again with 1. This is awesome because you're going to do it way better than me. The point is you can make really nice effects or full-fledged. I mean, you could give this to a Disney animator and they could. The sky's the limit is what I'm trying to say, very, very poorly. So we can make it explode here, whatever. Okay. So I just want you to know that that's possible. As soon as you get this video layer thing, like if you realize what it can do, if you're somebody who's been itching to do animations through your tablet or through your drawing, I mean, the sky's the limit here. Okay, you can do creepy eyes looking everywhere. Very, very bad. Okay, so I think that's enough for this tutorial. I don't want it to run too long. I think with this, knowing this combined with what we did before, you can make some really cool stuff. And we haven't even got into the Illustrator stuff you can do. Okay, and the export would be just the same as before. So I'm going to conclude this tutorial.